Edo State. The last national appointment is National Chairman of the ruling party, APC, President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, and so many other ones. I recognize you this afternoon. Let me equally introduce and recognize our newly appointed Acting General Secretary of our great union, Comrades Ali Baba. Ladies and gentlemen, though ladies is not here, I remain Comrade John Adaji, President, National Union of Textile Garment and Tailoring Workers of Nigeria. Sir, on behalf of National Executive Council of our great union, we are here this afternoon to thank you for granting us this courtesy call under a short notice, which you rightly gave approval for it. We are really impressed with this acceptance. Like as you know, sir, precisely 2008, when you hand over the administrative structure of the union to Comrade Aramu, there in that delegate conference, the union unanimously adopted you as a life patron of our great union. And since then, it has not been a dull moment from your activity in Edo, which all the textile members share the joys of your achievement and the mark you make, which was a reputation of exactly things you did in the union. You did not stop there. Your emergency as a chairman of a ruling party was not equally a shock to us. And we share in all that you went through and what you have got. Today we are here, sir, coming out from our 12th delegate conference, which took place in Abuja early this year. We thought it's important as a life patron of our great union to come here and give you updates of the state of the industry and the positions of the union as it is today. One, we remain ever grateful to the mark you have made, the achievement you have made, and the structure you put on ground. If not for that focus and vision, sir, as it today, the union would have completely gone down. The strength and the movement activity we carry out today are largely dependable on what you were able to do as the General Secretary of our great union. It will equally interest you to know that we are probably one of the first union to have a structure of our own as an office, and you did exactly that when Cardinal Office was commissioned in 1985. 4-story building. Less than 5 years later, you replicated it in Lagos, increasing it to 5-story building. And early 90, we had additional property in Abuja here that keep precisely 12 flats. We had the one of Asaba, and the last one is Kano office. And if there is anything that the union is relying on today, is those structure you put on ground. We are very grateful to you, sir. Unfortunately, the other side aspect of it, sir, is the state of the industry. It is not the making of anybody, but I think the story is everywhere that all the manufacturing sector story is worrisome, as most of them has gone under. The story is the same in the textile sector. There were some critical decisions taken by this administration, which we equally want to use this forum to commend Mr. President Muhammad Buhari. Some of those policies are CTG, which we call it cotton textile garment policy, and there were some arrangements that, if properly implemented, will go a long way in reviving the sector. One of it is the executive order Oshiomhole, which require for patronage of the local content. And it went beyond through the CBN governor to make an arrangement with the service chiefs and the uniform people to have an understanding with the local producer that their uniform should be sourced locally. We look forward, and that policy was bringing some hope to the sector before the advent of this pandemic, which has equally taken us back. We thank God today the curve is being slowed down, and we thought it's equally a time to call on you to help us to add your voice, and that those things that they have started, let us see to the later. As it is today, cotton, which is one of the major raw material, has been addressed by CBN, because last year they administered cotton seed to the cotton farmers, and today we have abundance cotton in Nigeria. So it's to move to the next level, which if I were enjoy the slogan of APC, is moving from cotton now to textile. And what will go a long way is one of the policies that I came across in South Africa when I attended one of their conference, that translate the situation in South Africa as it is today in textile sector. And it was mainly say, buy South Africa, we are South Africa. And within 3 years, by the reports, they had additional 50,000 members. So we believe that if the service and the uniform men, including NYSC, Unity schools, if these uniforms are sourced locally, I can assure you, sir, what the administration is looking in terms of creating much more job can be achieved from the textile sector. What on the last note, sir, we equally want to say that you have seen it, you have conquered, and we remain happy to be associated with you. Where you are today, a golden fish will never be hidden. No matter whatever has happened now, people will still return, and we know by the grace of God you will still move to another next level. We are confident because you have never failed all the system you have run through, and if you have not done that before, you won't do it now. So we are confident that in near future we hope to equally be with you when you celebrate next level movement by the God's grace. Congratulations for all this time and for God's protection of your life. To still remain healthy after going through is a wonderful one. We celebrate you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, my president, Comrade Adaji, president of the National Union of Textile and Garment Workers, and my comrade Ali Baba, the newly appointed acting general secretary. First, I apologize, I was not able to attend the convention where you were re-elected, and being re-elected is affirmation of confidence. As we say, it means you have been tested and trusted by workers. And I also know that the trade union movement is the only one compared to the political parties where there's no question of election rigging. The workers will either elect you on your merit or they don't. Neither money, nor ethnicity, nor religion is a factor when it comes to choosing who lead the working people. So this is a very rich background from which I believe I have learned a lot, and I owe everything in my life to the Textile Workers Union that gave me the opportunity first to experience injustice, to provide a platform to organize, mobilize. I emphasize organize rather than agonizing, to mobilize rather than being passive and wallowing in self-pity, and to recognize that injustice can be eradicated and a new world can be born from the ashes of the old once we recognize that the union makes us strong. And to unite is to build strength to counter the enormous power of capital. This rich background and the capacity to speak, to organize and give ordinary workers confidence to collectively challenge injustice in workplaces is a valuable lesson that has helped me, that I continue to fall back on when I meet challenges and need justice and people of power in all my life. So I'm rather very grateful, and I ask you to convey my gratitude at every opportunity to the Textile Workers Union for giving me that platform to develop what obviously is uncommon in Nigeria. Not just the clarity of vision, but the courage to fight for what is right, and the courage to say no, and the passion and willingness to recognize other God's guardians, that those who say they are not ready to pay a price for fighting for something, they will pay a much huge price for fighting for nothing. And it's incredible how much I gained in terms of leadership qualities as the General Secretary of the Textile Workers Union until I left to become the President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, which again was another huge school that gave me a much wider platform to be able to lead what I call a general purpose vehicle, to channel all the discontent of working people, working families, and indeed all those who live on their sweat in Nigeria and beyond. So all of that for me has been my greatest school, and for that I'm forever grateful. And I'm happy that in spite of all the challenges in the environment, that you have kept the union flag flying. And I want to appreciate Ali Baba. I have very fond memories of our first encounter. He being a shop floor worker that I was before, and engaging in a mass meeting under the sun as to how to find solutions to problems that confront workers, I think somewhere in Holborn or so, in Kano. And to rise from that grassroots level to become the General Secretary. That is my experience too, for which I congratulate you from rising from the shop floor to becoming the General Secretary. So when workers talk, you know where they are coming from. When they behave, you know what to form their choice of behavior. And you also interface with employers, and you have first-hand knowledge about the tension between the profit motive and the social purpose of trade unions vis-a-vis that of the employer. So I'm at home to be in your company, and I'm very grateful for your kind thoughts and your kind statement coming all the way from Abuja to see me. I owe you a visit, and I hope to go to do so in the no distant future. And the conference you are organizing, the educational conference, by the special grace of God, I will want to be. I assure you I will attend. I will be part of it. And able to learn what the new challenges are. But let me also thank you for recognizing that President Muhammad Buhari recognizes that Nigeria must return to manufacturing when he gave those directives. Just exactly the same directive that he gave on importation of rice and other food. I mean, it's a joke when people prefer the act of eating what they don't produce and producing what they don't want to eat, when we have everything that other nations lack to be self-sufficient in food production, and to be self-sufficient in several other aspects of life. I mean, the textile industry, for example, I had a huge dream. I was clear that the industry had huge opportunity to grow, which was what informed our building of our labor house in Kaduna, in Lagos, in Asaba, and acquiring property in Abuja. I never believed that things will degenerate to the level that they have come to. And I think in finding solutions, the president has made the right pronouncement. And I'm very happy that the Central Bank Governor, Governor Emefiele, is on record as having been a very, let me say, an activist CBN governor that goes beyond the traditional boundaries of central banking to try to identify sectors which, if they fall back on commercial banks, cannot be revived. And whether a president that shares a complete commitment to reinventing the Nigeria dream of being self-sufficient in many respects. I mean, it's a shame that given our population of over 200 million, that the textile industry can collapse. But even more shameful is the fact that by our pattern of dressing as Nigerians, I mean, our per capita consumption of fabrics is more than the world average because of the way we dress. The average person will wear 8 meters, 10 meters, long pants, and inner wear plus a big babadiga and a cap and socks. And all of these things we were producing in Nigeria, whether it's Guinea brocade, it's socks, which was made by Nonit, and a flourishing garment sector, and so on and so forth. I believe that this is the time that everyone who lay claim to political leadership and anyone who wish peace, security, and stability in Nigeria, we recognize that the job we need for our ever-growing young population cannot be created in the public sector, nor can it be created in the service sector. We need, as a matter of deliberate policy, to refocus policy towards labor-intensive industries. And textile industry is number one. It requires very little. You don't have to be a graduate or even an HND holder to be able to be employable in a typical textile factory. Even with the benefit of modern technology, so much can be possible. But it clearly employs much more. And like the president has said in that policy, Executive Order 3 that you refer to, if all the uniform of Nigeria Army, all the uniform of Nigeria Police, all the uniform of our civil defense, all the uniform of our custom service, all the uniform by government-owned schools across the country, and even just all schools, whether government or private, from primary school to secondary school and all that. If all of these are, as a matter of policy, are made in Nigeria, the huge job opportunity is unquantifiable. You rightly said it. We have the cotton. So who produce cotton in Nigeria? Rural people. So that will lead to rural prosperity. And then they take this cotton to ginnery, where you have a blend of workers and machines to try to produce, remove the seedlings and produce cotton lint. From there to textile factory to do the spinning, which is a huge area of labor, even with modern technology. And then from spinning to weaving. And after weaving, you have a huge section to do the bleaching before it gets to pretty unit, where you have to print to various colors and fabrics like the one you are wearing. And then to finishing, where they do all the stashing and do the final, all of it they have to do. So we had And this is no theory, this is what I met as far back as 1968-69. A flourishing, comprehensive, fully integrated textile factory. At that time, we have people in government with less bachelor degrees or doctorate degrees and even less professors, less universities. So it's unacceptable that many years, decades later, when we have all the brains and people sermonize every day by job creation, they do not recognize that these things are not achieved by lamenting. They require imaginative and bold decisions to shift away from importing to production. And going forward, that is what we must do. Like somebody said, whenever you wake up should be your morning hour. You can still do 8 hours a day if you recognize you wake up late, then you sleep late. So Nigeria cannot escape addressing the question of returning to manufacturing and reviving the textile industry. I mean, when you look at the story of Bangladesh, a very poor country, about 60% of their foreign earnings come from textile industry, employ more than 4-5 million workers. And just imagine if Nigerian textile industry employs 10 million. And this is not a huge thing to achieve. Just to see that we consume 50% of what we wear should be made in Nigeria. Everybody that goes to government work must do so in Nigeria made quality. But things will change. So I am never, I'm an optimist. I've not given up. I think that the crisis we face will compel us and is compelling us to recognize we don't now even have the foreign exchange to evolve in reckless importation. So the reality of instability in the oil sector, side by side with a huge increase in our population, dictate that as a matter of a lattice self-interest, those who wield political power must be focused on the manufacturing sector. It is just manufacturing sector, not the banks, not the oil sector. These will produce high-paid jobs, elite jobs. But the middle class, lower middle class and working class jobs have to necessarily be located in terms of the manufacturing sector. We produce our own clothes, produce our own food, process the food, process our cocoa, and do our carpentry work or furniture making, produce glass and aluminium, all of the things we need. If we just do half of that, many jobs will be created in the chemical sector, in the rubber sector. Look at the amount of plastic we consume or we should consume. So me, I'm hopeful that out of the current tension arising largely from idle use, that there will be a renewed thinking. And let nobody pass the blame from one level of government. Government at all levels, we all have a role to play. Because there's no federal land, the land is in the states. So state must do something to attract competition. My couple of visits to US when I was much younger, as a unionist, I was pleasantly surprised to see that even within America, states are competing and advertising the advantage they have if industry is located in their own state, some of the incentives they will provide. The same thing when I went to China in 1984, 86. And then the Chinese were providing all kinds of incentive that I have to ask the manager, what do you gain when you give foreigners this kind of free incentive to free power supply, free this, free that? So what do you gain? You just expect your workers for these multinationals, and they said no. Come, we know what we're doing. First is that we have 1.3 billion mouths to feed. So just getting them out of their homes to go to work is itself an achievement. But when they are busy, they will plan evil. And so, but why they are doing it, they look stupid. But the Chinese are never stupid. They are just trying to study the technology, and over time, whether they like it or not, there will be technological transfer arising from the involvement and participation of Chinese workers. And what they're doing right now is building massive road infrastructure, railroads, so that and then they invest massively in education so that they have a competitive advantage, not just in terms of quantity of Chinese labor, but the quality of Chinese labor. And that is a function of sound, basic technical education. So the miracle that we can describe with China now becoming the second world economy is not something that was the result of miracles by church leaders and Islamic scholars. No, it was a result of meticulous planning and a rugged determination to translate the vision into reality. Nigeria can and must get to that point. And you as workers too, you have a role to play. I mean, we made our own honest mistakes. And I am not ashamed to talk about it. One of the things I thought I succeeded in achieving, along with my colleagues in leadership of our union then, was insisting that we cannot work more than beyond Monday to Friday. That Saturday, Sunday must be free for ceremonies, for marriages and so on, weekends for religious reasons. And the Chinese guys were like, yes, you can fulfill all of that, but we need to run our factories 24/7 non-stop. Because if countries with advanced technologies are running the industry non-stop, why do we stop our own 5 days a week when others are doing 7? They want to run 4 shifts, which will create a situation where your off days may be Monday, Tuesday, another week will be Wednesday, Thursday, another week will be Friday, Saturday, so it will be Sunday, Monday. So it rotates like that. The bottom line, the machines are designed not to stop. But as a young, idealistic worker who was committed to workers' welfare, as I saw it, in terms of you work and you rest, and then putting perhaps undue value on particular days of the week as a result of religion, ethnicity, Christianity on Sunday and Saturday for ceremonies. Now when I look back, every warning they give them, but if we have less robotics, less computerized firms, and we are doing a 40-hour week when others are doing 60-hour week, there is no way we can compete because the world has become the same. By the time Nigeria government, in my view, harshly subscribed to WTO agreement and opened the borders for so-called free trade, we were now exposed to competing with countries that are doing 60, 70 hours a week to Nigeria where we are doing 40 hours a week. And with that 40 hours, we still have 30 minutes break. So once I think it was Abacha's government then, and then Obasanjo's government consolidated it, we now had to compete with the rest of the world. And it's clear. A tortoise cannot compete in a race with a tiger. And we, in my view, wrongly subscribe to free trade under the WTO rules without properly understanding our relative weakness vis-a-vis those people. And I think in terms of policy engagement, those are the areas the union must initiate. NSC as an umbrella body should take it to the next level to articulate that our industrial policy must be coherent. It must not be driven by idealism. We don't do anything because other people are doing it. We should do something because it is in Nigeria's best interest. And our foreign policy must be refocused in a way that we're not talking of Africa. It's Nigeria first, Nigeria second, then Africa and the world. But we cannot, the name of idealism, expose ourselves to the situation we're in. And lastly, government can give free money, but the challenge of the industry was it cash. Working capital was a consequence, it wasn't the cause. The cause, as I can trace, has to do with power supply. And as machines become more sophisticated, more computerization, etc., the power supply and the quality of that power supply become a basic necessity without which you can't compete. So whatever anybody is going to do, CBN will provide the money. That will be very helpful. Giving moratorium, you know, in the light of COVID-19, making fund available with single digits compared to double digit if you go to commercial banks. All of that will be helpful, at least in not compounding the problem. But to bail out, we must get the power situation right. And if any one country can get it right, Nigeria should be able to get it right. And I believe that with some of the initiative the president is pushing, if everybody key in and do a bit of reflection and think through what we can do differently to have at least uninterrupted power supply, Nigeria will be on its way to China and will compete with them. We are not lazy, we are creative, we are resourceful, we are vocal, we are imaginative, we excel abroad. Why can't we excel at home? So, once again, I thank you for visiting. I want you to know why I went to all of this. That don't think because I was in government, I have forgotten what the challenges are, or that I was national chairman of a party, I no longer share those sentiments. That is why I identify with you in the struggle for minimum wage. I identify with you in ensuring that minimum wage is paid and including the consequential adjustment. I never abandon the workers because I cannot abandon my past. That's why I am. I can't run away from my shadow. My life views, my style, my assumptions, my choice of policy is informed by my understanding that society and governance is not value-free, it's value-driven. Somebody must pay for it, somebody must benefit from it. Who gets what is at the heart of contestation in governance. And be assured that I will say you have a comrade here. I mean, we are together in all of this, and I look forward to your conversion. Once again, Ali Baba, congratulations. It's a huge task at this time, I can imagine.
Thank you, sir.
And Adaji,
Thank you, sir.
thank you for providing leadership for our great union.
Thank you, sir.